Hey Trekkies, Christian Fox here with another video for you. Today, I want to talk about Worf and explain why I think DS9 was the best thing for his character. Worf is such an interesting character in Trek who has grown so much and really is the gift that keeps on giving. Of course, TNG deserves all the credit for introducing us to Worf and for helping the character in all his Klingon Warrior ways fit within the confines of Starfleet and that show, but it wasn't until Worf made the jump to DS9 that he was allowed to go full Worf. The first example that comes to mind is the way he interacts with the rest of the crew. In TNG, it was almost required that all characters like each other and 100% respect each other, but in DS9, he really didn't have to like anyone. Of course, he had to like Cisco because he was the lead, and he had to like O'Brien because of their TNG history, but not anyone else. He kind of just tolerates the rest of the crew. He respects Kira, but never seems to really jive with her. He clashes with Odo all the time, only really sharing a handful of scenes where they seem friendly. He barely tolerates Bashir despite their Dominion prison camp bonding activity and inviting to his bachelor party. Worf even says that he does not like doctors when asked about Bash, and even calls him a child. And of course, he flat out despises Quark, which really never changes. The only person that he likes is Jadzia, which, let's be real, is a bit of an understatement because he marries her, but you know what I mean. In fact, Worf dislikes people and the general environment of DS9 so much that he moves into the Defiant and lives there when not on duty. Worf being allowed to not like everyone is perfect because it fits with his character. The second example that comes to mind is his Klingon nature. TNG, because of its limitations and more family friendly style, seemed to water Worf down quite a bit. He was allowed to kind of be Klingon and say Klingon sounding things, but really not go full Klingon, save for a few scenes. But in DS9, he is. His premiere episode, Way of the Warrior, explicitly goes out of its way to say, hey, Klingons are so different that we need a Klingon to deal with them. And from there, Worf is set loose to get shit done, such as beating up General Martok's son to get his attention. From there, Worf is able to behave as a Klingon and solve problems in a Klingon way for the rest of the series, culminating in Worf killing Chancellor Gowron for his handling of the Dominion War. I also really love that they don't shy away from his killer instinct. In the episode Rules of Engagement, in which Worf is on trial for seemingly destroying a Klingon transport, Jadzia explains to the court that she can see his killer instinct in his eyes when they spar on the holodeck, but knows that he will always control it. I'm not saying that Worf was left to run wild during the series, just that he was able to embrace his Klingon nature in a way that wouldn't have worked on TNG. The third and final example of why DS9 was a great fit for Worf was because of his ability to fight. One of TNG's most famous tropes was that Worf repeatedly gets beaten up by the big bad of the week, so much so that it made Worf look really weak. DS9 corrects this by Worf getting into a ton of hand-to-hand fights and winning. We see this in The Way of the Warrior when the Klingons board the station, and we see this again in the episode To the Death, where the Defiant crew teams up with Weyoun and his crew to stop a group of rogue Jem'Hadar. Of course, the best example of this is in the episode In Purgatory's Shadow. In that episode, Worf and Garrick are captured and sent to Dominion prison camp. While in prison, Worf is forced to face off against a ton of Jem'Hadar in a one-on-one space MMA fight. Worf goes above and beyond by beating the living daylights out of all of his opponents, proving once and for all that he really is a badass Klingon warrior. So this is all a really long way of saying that DS9, at the end of the day, was really great for Worf.